The massive space station hung in the darkness between two burning suns. Inside its metal walls, Emperor Vextar sat on his throne made of black crystal. His reptile-like skin reflected the dim lights as he listened to his admirals speak about a new planet they had found. Admiral Krevan stood before the Emperor with data tablets in his 4 hands. His alien eyes blinked one after another as he spoke. "My lord, our scouts have discovered a small blue world in the outer territories. The beings there call themselves humans." The Emperor's claws tapped against his throne. "Tell me about these humans." "They are very primitive, Your Majesty. They have barely left their home planet. A few small colonies on their moon and the red planet nearby. Their ships use old chemical engines that our shuttles could easily destroy." Around the Great Hall, other alien leaders nodded their agreement. They had seen this many times before. The Galactic Dominion had conquered hundreds of worlds. Some species had energy shields. Others had weapons that could cut through solid rock. All of them had fallen to the Empire's superior technology. Emperor Vextar grew tired of hearing about such weak enemies. How long would it take to defeat them? Admiral Zoreth, a tall alien with blue skin and silver armor, stepped forward. "Give me 1 fleet, my lord. I will crush them in a single day." "Very well. Take the 3rd Imperial fleet. 500 warships should be enough to handle these primitive creatures." Admiral Zoreth bowed low but felt insulted inside. 500 ships to defeat a world that had barely learned to fly between planets. It was like using a war hammer to crush an insect. But he would follow orders. Far away on the blue planet Earth, alarms were ringing in a secret base deep under the Rocky Mountains. General Jake Morrison studied the glowing screens that showed massive energy signatures approaching from deep space. Dr. Lisa Park ran her fingers across the holographic displays. She was Earth's best expert on alien life and technology. "The readings are incredible, General. Whatever is coming toward us has technology far beyond anything we have ever seen." General Morrison had gray hair and scars from many battles. He had spent his whole career preparing for this day when hostile aliens would find Earth. Their defenses looked weak compared to what was coming. A dozen space stations around Earth, 50 small patrol ships, 1 large battleship called the ESS Liberty. "How many ships?" the general asked. "Our computers count at least 500 vessels. Each one is larger than our biggest ship." In another room, President Kate Sullivan prepared to address the world. She was a calm woman who rarely showed fear, but her hand shook slightly as she read the speech her advisors had written. "My fellow humans," she said, into the cameras that would broadcast her words to every person on Earth. "We face the greatest challenge in human history. An alien fleet approaches our world with unknown intentions. We must prepare for the possibility that they come as enemies." Across Earth, people watched their televisions and computer screens in shock. Many had wondered if aliens existed. Now they knew, and those aliens might want to destroy them. In space stations around Earth, human soldiers checked their weapons and prepared their ships. Captain Ben Taylor stood on the bridge of the ESS Liberty, humanity's most advanced warship. It was 300 meters long with nuclear missiles and laser cannons. Against alien technology that could cross the galaxy, it seemed like a toy. "Orders, sir?" asked his second-in-command, Lieutenant Amy Carter. "We wait," Captain Taylor replied. "And we hope our leaders have a plan." But Earth's leaders did have a plan, though very few people knew about it. Deep beneath the Sahara Desert, in a facility that officially did not exist, Colonel Ryan Hayes walked through corridors filled with impossible technology. Dr. Amanda Foster led him past laboratories where strange machines hummed with energy. She was a brilliant scientist who had spent 20 years studying secrets that could not be shared with the world. "How long until they arrive?" Colonel Hayes asked. 48 hours, maybe less, Dr. Foster replied. "Are we ready?" Colonel Hayes looked at the alien technology that filled the underground base. 50 years ago, a crashed alien ship had been found in the desert. The beings who built it were far more advanced than humans, but their ship had been damaged beyond repair. The aliens inside were dead. Human scientists had spent decades trying to understand the alien technology. Most of it was too complex, but they had learned some things. They had built new weapons, new ships, new ways of thinking about space and time. "We have to be ready," Colonel Hayes said. "Earth depends on it." Above them, the Imperial fleet continued its approach toward Earth. Admiral Zoreth stood on the bridge of his flagship, a massive vessel called the Devastator. The ship was 15 kilometers long with weapons that could crack planets open. "Report," Admiral Zorth commanded. "We are 12 hours from the target world, Admiral. Long-range scans show primitive orbital defenses. A few dozen small installations with basic missile systems." Admiral Zorth looked at the tactical display showing Earth's pathetic defenses. "Reduce speed. Let them see us coming. Fear will make them surrender faster." Commander Velnon, his second-in-command, asked, "Should we offer them terms of surrender?" "No. The Emperor wants this world as an example to other systems. Total destruction will send a clear message that resistance to the Dominion is useless." The alien fleet spread out into attack formation as it approached Earth. Each ship bristled, with weapons that could destroy cities. The humans watching from their space stations saw death approaching and wondered if their species would survive the next day. But in the secret facility beneath the desert, Dr. Foster smiled as she watched energy readings climb on her instruments. "Colonel, our hidden installations are coming online. The real fleet is ready." Colonel Hayes nodded. For 50 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. They had built ships in secret. They had learned to use alien technology. Most importantly, they had discovered something that their enemies did not expect. Humans were not as primitive as they appeared. They were about to prove that the universe held surprises even for an empire that had conquered the galaxy. The stage was set for a battle that would change everything. Colonel Ryan Hayes followed Dr. Amanda Foster through the deepest levels of Facility 7. The elevator had descended for 10 minutes, taking them far beneath the Sahara Desert where no satellite could detect their activities. "What you are about to see has been humanity's greatest secret for 50 years, Dr. Foster said as the elevator doors opened. Before them stretched a vast underground city. Machines the size of buildings hummed with strange energy. Corridors extended in all directions, disappearing into the distance. Thousands of people in white coats worked at control panels that glowed with alien symbols. "How is this possible?" Colonel Hayes asked. "How did we build all this without anyone knowing?" Dr. Foster led him to an observation window that looked down into a massive chamber. Inside, a sleek silver ship hung suspended in the air without any visible support. The ship seemed to shift and change shape as they watched, as if it could not decide what form it wanted to take. "It started with the crash in 2157, Dr. Foster explained. "The ship we found belonged to a race we call the Architects. They were incredibly advanced, but their technology was different from what we expected." She touched a control panel, and the chamber below lit up with holographic displays. The suspended ship responded by extending wing-like appendages that had not been there moments before. "Most alien technology we imagined would be like ours, only better. Faster engines, stronger weapons, tougher armor, but Architect technology is based on something else entirely. It adapts, it learns, it grows with the user." Colonel Hayes stared as the ship below them changed again, now looking more like a living creature than a machine. "What makes us compatible with it?" "Human brains," Dr. Foster said with a smile. "Our neural networks are incredibly flexible compared to other species. We can adapt to new situations faster than any aliens we have encountered. The Architect technology was designed to interface directly with biological minds, and human minds are perfect for it." They walked through more corridors until they reached another observation deck. This one looked out into space itself. Through the transparent metal, Colonel Hayes could see ships moving between the planets, but these were not the primitive vessels that Earth's enemies had detected. "The ESS Liberty that shows up on alien scanners is a decoy," Dr. Foster explained. "Our real fleet exists partially outside normal space. The aliens cannot detect ships that exist in folded dimensions." Captain Ben Taylor stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiance, humanity's first true warship built with Architect technology. The ship's walls were alive with flowing patterns of light. When he placed his hand on the command interface, he could feel the ship's consciousness merge with his own thoughts. "Status report," Captain Taylor said. Though he already knew the answer through his neural link with the ship, Lieutenant Amy Carter, now serving as his operations officer, checked her displays. "All systems are green, Captain. We have 40 crew members aboard, all selected for their neural compatibility with Architect systems." The Defiance was unlike any ship ever built by humans or aliens. It could exist in multiple dimensions at once. Its weapons did not fire bullets or energy beams. Instead, they manipulated the basic forces that held the universe together. Dr. Helen Gray, Earth's expert on quantum consciousness, spoke from the science station. "Captain, Our sensors detect the Imperial fleet at the edge of the solar system. They are maintaining standard approach vectors, as expected. They think they are hunting helpless prey, Captain Taylor said. Let them continue believing that until the moment of truth. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden installations came online. On the dark side of the moon, massive doors opened in the rock face, revealing weapon platforms that had been built into the lunar surface itself. In the asteroid belt, mining stations that appeared to be simple industrial facilities transformed into military bases, bristling with impossible technology. General Jake Morrison stood in the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching as Earth's true defenses revealed themselves. The displays showed hundreds of ships appearing throughout the solar system as they shifted from folded space into normal reality. Incredible, he whispered. All this time we have been ready. Dr. Lisa Park worked at a nearby console, coordinating with the hidden facilities. General, we are receiving reports from all sectors. Quantum manipulation fields are at full power. Reality distortion generators are online. We can begin local space-time modification at your command. The words sounded like science fiction, but they represented humanity's greatest achievement. The architect technology did not simply provide better weapons and ships. It allowed humans to change the basic laws of physics within a limited area. How large is our field of influence? General Morrison asked. Currently extending to the orbit of Mars, Dr. Park replied. We can expand it to encompass the entire solar system if necessary. Meanwhile, Admiral Zoreth continued his approach toward Earth, unaware that his fleet was already within range of humanity's most devastating weapons. The Devastator's sensors showed the same primitive defenses they had detected from the beginning. A few orbital platforms with crude missiles, some patrol ships with chemical rockets. Pathetic, Commander Velnon commented. Their entire civilization could be eliminated by a single frigate. But Lieutenant Commander Zeexal, the fleet's intelligence officer, frowned at his readings. Admiral, I am detecting some unusual energy signatures throughout the system. The patterns do not match any known technology. Admiral Zoreth barely glanced at the report. Primitive species often have minor inconsistencies in their technology. It is not worth our concern. The Imperial fleet passed the orbit of Mars, where human colonists lived in small pressurized domes. Admiral Zoreth considered destroying the colony as a demonstration, but decided it would waste ammunition. As they approached Earth's moon, the aliens began detecting more substantial human installations. Lunar bases connected by transportation tubes dotted the surface. Admiral Zoreth decided to test his weapons on these targets before attacking Earth itself. Target the largest lunar facility, he commanded. Fire gravitational disruptors. The weapons charged, their targeting systems locking onto a human base on the moon's surface. But at the moment of firing, something impossible happened. The weapons simply stopped working. Not broken or damaged, but as if they had never existed. Report, Admiral Zoreth barked. Chief Engineer Mordak's voice came through the communication system with barely controlled panic. Sir, the disruptor array has ceased to exist. Our sensors show it was never installed, but our maintenance records prove we built it yesterday. Similar reports came from throughout the fleet. Weapons vanished. Shield generators disappeared. Entire sections of ships faded away as if they had never been constructed. Captain Ben Taylor watched from the Defiance as humanity's first weapons took effect. Temporal displacement is working perfectly, he told his crew. We are not destroying their equipment. We are editing it out of history, Dr. Amanda Foster observed from her control room deep beneath the desert. The aliens exist within normal space-time, she explained to the other scientists. Our technology operates across multiple dimensions. We can literally rewrite reality within our area of influence. The Imperial fleet found itself mysteriously losing capability as it approached Earth. Weapons that had worked perfectly for centuries suddenly never existed. Admiral Zoreth watched in growing alarm as his mighty armada became less dangerous with every passing hour. But he pressed on toward Earth, determined to complete his mission even if it meant ramming his ships into the planet itself. He could not know that humanity was just beginning to demonstrate the true extent of their hidden power. Admiral Zoreth stood on the bridge of the Devastator, staring at reports that made no sense. Half his fleet's weapons had simply vanished during their approach to Earth. Not destroyed in battle, not damaged by enemy fire, but erased from existence as if they had never been built. Status of all ships, he commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered dozens of star systems. Commander Velnon worked frantically at his control station. Sir, we have lost 60% of our primary weapons across the entire fleet. Shield generators on 200 ships have disappeared. Some vessels report that entire deck sections no longer exist. How is this possible? Admiral Zoreth demanded. Are the humans using some kind of advanced weapon? Chief Engineer Mordak appeared on the main screen, his alien features twisted with confusion and fear. Admiral, our own construction records show we built these systems. Our crew remembers installing them. But according to our sensors, they were never manufactured. It is as if someone has edited our ships out of history. The Imperial fleet continued toward Earth, but Admiral Zoreth could see his mighty armada was no longer the unstoppable force that had left the Dominion homeworlds. Ships that had bristled with weapons now looked like empty shells. Vessels designed to crack planets now struggled to maintain basic power. On Earth, Captain Ben Taylor prepared for the next phase of humanity's defense. The ESS Defiance existed in a state that alien sensors could barely detect. The ship appeared to be in 17 different locations at once, making it impossible for enemy weapons to target. All stations report ready. Lieutenant Amy Carter announced from her position at the operations console. Dr. Helen Gray monitored the quantum fields that surrounded their ship. Captain, the architect systems are fully integrated with our consciousness. We are no longer simply piloting a ship. We have become part of it. Captain Taylor felt the truth of those words. Through his neural interface, he could perceive space and time in ways that normal humans could not imagine. The approaching alien fleet appeared not as ships, but as knots of distorted reality, held together by their understanding of physics. They still think in terms of conventional warfare, Captain Taylor observed. They see ships and weapons and shields. They do not understand that we have moved beyond such limitations. General Jake Morrison watched the tactical displays in the underground command center. The Imperial fleet was now close enough that their weapons could reach Earth's surface, but their firepower had been reduced to a fraction of its original strength. Are we ready for the final phase? He asked Dr. Lisa Park. All quantum manipulation systems are online, she replied. We can expand our reality distortion field to encompass the entire enemy fleet. Once they are within our sphere of influence, their technology will operate according to our rules, not theirs. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Humanity would not destroy the alien fleet through superior firepower. Instead, they would change the fundamental laws of physics in the space around Earth, making alien weapons and ships impossible to operate. Admiral Zoreth made his decision as Earth grew larger on his view screens. All ships target the planet directly. We will crack their world open and boil their oceans. Fire all remaining weapons. The order went out across the fleet. Every functional weapon system turned toward the blue planet that hung before them like a jewel in space. Antimatter torpedoes, gravitational disruptors, quantum pulse cannons, and plasma beams all prepared to unleash destruction on a scale that could end human civilization. At that moment, the ESS Defiance revealed itself. The ship appeared directly above Earth's North Pole, seeming to emerge from nothingness. To the aliens watching, it looked like a sleek vessel, perhaps the size of a cruiser. Nothing that could threaten 500 warships, even damaged ones. Then the Defiance began to change. The ship's hull flowed like liquid metal, while maintaining perfect structural integrity. Appendages extended from its sides that seemed to exist in more dimensions than normal space could contain. Most disturbing of all, the vessel appeared to exist in multiple locations simultaneously, as if reality could not decide where it actually belonged. Impossible, Admiral Zoreth whispered as his sensors tried to track the human ship. No vessel can exist in quantum superposition while maintaining coherent operation. Commander Velnon reported from the tactical station with growing panic in his voice. Sir, our targeting computers cannot achieve weapons lock. The ship appears to be in 17 different positions at once, and our calculations suggest it is actually in none of them. Captain Taylor, his consciousness now fully merged with the Defiance's architect-derived systems, did not see the battle in conventional terms. Through his enhanced perception, each alien ship appeared as a cluster of probability clouds held together by fields of manipulated space-time. Dr. Helen Gray announced from her station, Captain, I am detecting the gravitational distortions that hold their ships together. Their hulls are maintained by artificial gravity fields. Understood, Captain Taylor replied, his voice carrying harmonics that suggested he was speaking from multiple dimensions at once. But we will not simply destroy them. We will do something far more thorough. The Defiance fired its primary weapon. What emerged from the ship was not a missile, energy beam, or projectile of any kind. Instead, it was a field of what human scientists called causal negation that expanded outward faster than light itself. As the field touched the first alien vessels, something unprecedented occurred. The massive battlecruiser Annihilator, with its crew of 8,000, did not explode or break apart. It simply ceased to exist. Not just destroyed, but erased from history itself. Admiral Zoreth watched in mounting horror as ships around him vanished from existence. The communications channels that had been filled with voices moments before fell silent, not because the crews were dead, but because the ships had never been built. "Report," he shouted to his remaining officers. Chief Engineer Mordak's voice came through with barely controlled terror. "Sir, the Annihilator's construction records have disappeared from our databases. According to our files, it was never built. But we remember it. We all remember serving with its crew." The field of causal negation continued to expand, methodically editing ship after ship out of existence. The alien crews watched their comrades disappear not just from space, but from the very fabric of reality. Only their memories remained as proof that hundreds of vessels and millions of beings had ever existed. Admiral Zoreth made a desperate decision. "All ships execute Protocol Omega. Overload your reactors. We will take this world with us." The order was transmitted to every surviving vessel. Across the fleet, alien crews began overloading their antimatter reactors, preparing to create a cascade of explosions that could crack Earth's crust and boil its oceans. The overload sequences began. Reactors throughout the alien fleet built toward critical mass, preparing to unleash destruction on an unimaginable scale. Then something else impossible happened. As the antimatter prepared to explode, it suddenly reversed its quantum state and became ordinary matter. The devastating explosions that should have destroyed Earth became nothing more than harmless displays of colored light. Captain Taylor's voice resonated across all frequencies, reaching directly into the minds of every alien survivor. "You came expecting to find a primitive species with chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. Instead, you found a species that has learned to rewrite the fundamental laws of physics within our sphere of influence. Your weapons cannot function here because we have edited the physical constants that make them possible." The remaining alien ships, now powerless and drifting, began to understand that they had encountered something beyond their comprehension. Humanity had not simply built better weapons. They had transcended the limitations that bound all other known species in the galaxy. Admiral Zoreth found himself alone on the bridge of the Devastator, as the last of his crew abandoned their posts in terror. Through the viewing ports, he could see the remnants of what had once been the mightiest fleet in the Galactic Dominion. Less than 20 ships remained from the original 500, and even those were losing power as humanity's reality manipulation field continued to expand. The artificial gravity that held his ship together was beginning to fail. Systems that had worked perfectly for centuries suddenly forgot how to function. Even the lights on his bridge flickered as the local laws of physics changed around them. General Jake Morrison's voice came through the communication system with crystal clarity. "Imperial Fleet Commander, this is General Morrison of Earth Defense Command. You have 30 seconds to withdraw your remaining vessels beyond the orbit of Pluto, or we will extend our operational field to encompass your ships." Admiral Zoreth had conquered star systems and destroyed entire civilizations, but he had never faced an enemy that could edit reality itself. His pride wanted him to fight to the death, but his survival instincts told him that death might be the least of his concerns. These humans could apparently erase his existence from history itself. "All ships," he transmitted to his surviving vessels, "retreat to the system's edge immediately. Maximum speed." The remaining alien ships, now little more than metal hulls drifting through space, began their desperate flight toward the outer planets. As they moved away from Earth, their technology gradually began to function again. Engines that had been dead suddenly roared to life. Weapon systems that had vanished reappeared as if they had never been gone. Captain Ben Taylor, still merged with the consciousness of the ESS Defiance, pursued the fleeing aliens to make sure they understood the message. His ship moved through folded space, appearing beside the Devastator as it limped toward Pluto's orbit. Admiral Zoreth felt Captain Taylor's presence in his mind before he heard the words. The human spoke directly into his consciousness through quantum entanglement, bypassing all communication systems. Listen carefully. Captain Taylor's voice resonated inside the alien commander's head. Return to your Emperor. Tell him that Earth is protected not by superior weapons or stronger shields, but by our mastery over reality itself. We can rewrite the basic laws that govern matter and energy within our sphere of influence. The Devastator crossed beyond Pluto's orbit, and Admiral Zoreth felt his ship's systems fully return to normal operation. The humans had allowed him to escape, but the message was clear. Earth's protection extended throughout the entire solar system. Any future aggression against Earth or its colonies will result in the complete erasure of your species from existence, Captain Taylor continued. Not death, not defeat. Total removal from the quantum structure of the universe itself, as if your people had never evolved. Admiral Zoreth understood that this was not an idle threat. He had watched hundreds of ships vanish from reality, leaving only memories as proof they had ever existed. The humans possessed power beyond anything the Galactic Dominion had encountered in 1,000 years of conquest. Days later, Admiral Zoreth knelt before Emperor Vexitar in the great throne room of the Imperial station. The Emperor's obsidian scales rippled with barely controlled rage as he listened to the impossible report. You tell me that primitive humans erased 500 warships from existence itself? Emperor Vexitar's voice could crack stone when he was angry. That they changed the laws of physics to make our weapons useless? Yes, Your Imperial Majesty, Admiral Zoreth replied, keeping his eyes fixed on the floor. I have brought the sensor logs, communication records, and testimony from the survivors. The evidence cannot be disputed. Dr. Zenthara, the Dominion's chief scientist, examined the data with her crystalline form, shifting through different geometric patterns as she processed the information. She had computed the trajectories of entire galaxies and understood forces that could move stars. Your Imperial Majesty, she announced after reviewing the evidence. If these readings are accurate, the humans have achieved something that should be impossible. They have not simply developed superior technology. They have learned to manipulate the quantum foundations that underlie all reality. The implications of this discovery sent shockwaves through the Galactic Dominion. In the conquered systems, alien species that had been enslaved for generations began to whisper of hope. If primitive humans could defeat the mighty Imperial fleet so completely, perhaps freedom was possible for other oppressed worlds. On the mining world of Kepler 438b, the enslaved Zephyrians looked up at the stars with new hope. Their energy-based civilization had been crushed by the Dominion decades ago, but now they wondered if the humans might help them regain their independence. In the crystal caves of Proxima Centauri C, the crystalline collective remembered their ability to phase through solid matter. They had surrendered that power to avoid extinction, but perhaps these Earth humans would understand the value of freedom over survival. Meanwhile, on Earth itself, the revelation of humanity's true capabilities transformed their civilization overnight. President Kate Sullivan addressed not just Earth's population, but broadcast to every inhabited world within 50 light-years of their solar system. For generations, humanity has remained hidden in the shadows of galactic civilization, she announced from the Oval Office. We allowed others to see us as primitive and weak while we developed capabilities that transcend conventional understanding of science and warfare. The president continued, Today we announce our presence as a major galactic power, but unlike the empires that came before us, we are committed to the protection of all sentient beings who seek freedom from oppression. Earth extends its protection to any world that requests our aid against tyranny. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, Earth's communication centers received thousands of messages from worlds throughout the local galaxy. Species that had lived under Dominion rule for centuries begged for human intervention. Others offered alliance and friendship to the species that had proven the mighty could be defeated. Dr. Amanda Foster and Colonel Ryan Hayes stood in the observation deck of Facility 7, watching as massive construction ships emerged from hidden bases throughout the solar system. These vessels began building humanity's first interstellar embassy stations, mobile platforms that could extend Earth's reality manipulation field across vast distances. The architects left us more than just advanced technology, Dr. Foster reflected as she watched the construction work. They gave us the ability to evolve beyond the physical limitations that bind other species. We are not just another spacefaring civilization now. We are proof that intelligence and determination can overcome any obstacle. Colonel Hayes nodded, observing as the first human diplomatic vessels prepared for their missions to worlds throughout the galaxy. These ships did not carry conventional weapons, but they carried something far more powerful: the promise that reality itself could be reshaped to protect the innocent. The ships were beautiful to behold, their hulls flowing with patterns of light that seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions. Each vessel was alive in its own way, guided by human consciousness but enhanced by architect technology that could adapt and evolve. Where will they go first? Colonel Hayes asked. The Zephyrian system, Dr. Foster replied. Their message was the first to reach us, and their suffering under Dominion rule has lasted the longest. It is time to show the galaxy that the age of conquest and oppression is ending. In space around Earth, the ESS Defiance and dozens of ships like it prepared for humanity's first military intervention beyond their solar system. Captain Ben Taylor stood on his bridge, looking at star charts that showed the local galactic region. Red markers indicated systems under Dominion control, while green markers showed worlds that had already requested Earth's protection. The map was changing rapidly as word of humanity's victory spread through subspace communication networks. Every hour brought new requests for aid from species that had given up hope of freedom. Navigation, Captain Taylor commanded. Set course for the Zephyrian homeworld. It is time to introduce ourselves to our galactic neighbors. As the Defiance folded space-time around itself and vanished into the quantum dimensions between normal space, humanity took its first step toward fulfilling the destiny that the ancient architects had always intended for them. They would become the guardians of freedom in a galaxy that had forgotten what liberty meant. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, the galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. The Galactic Dominion, which had ruled countless worlds for over 1,000 years, found its authority crumbling as world after world declared independence and requested protection from the mysterious humans. Emperor Vextar paced across his throne room like a caged predator. Reports arrived daily of Imperial garrisons abandoning their posts, of conquered species rising in rebellion, of entire systems declaring neutrality rather than face the possibility of human intervention. How many systems have we lost this week? He demanded of his advisors. Admiral Krevon, who had once been so confident about human weakness, now spoke with barely concealed fear. 17 systems have declared independence, Your Majesty. The Crystalline Collective has reformed their old federation. The Zephyrians have re-established their energy-based civilization. Even species we conquered centuries ago are remembering technologies they had hidden away. The Emperor's claws left gouges in the arm of his crystal throne. And what of our attempts to contact other galactic powers? Surely someone else has faced these humans and found a way to defeat them. Dr. Zenthara's crystalline form shifted through worried geometric patterns. Your Majesty, our deep space probes have detected something unprecedented. The humans are not simply defending Earth anymore. They are actively liberating worlds throughout this galactic region. She activated a holographic display that showed the local spiral arm of the galaxy. Red zones that had once marked Dominion territory were rapidly changing to green as human influence spread. They have established what they call embassy stations throughout conquered space. Dr. Zenthara continued. These are not military bases in any conventional sense. They are mobile reality manipulation centers that can extend Earth's sphere of influence across vast distances. Meanwhile, in the Zephyrian system, Captain Ben Taylor stood on the observation deck of Embassy Station Alpha, watching as an entire civilization rediscovered its heritage. The Zephyrians had been forced to abandon their energy-based technology when the Dominion conquered them, but now they were rebuilding their society with human protection. Below on the planet's surface, cities of pure light were growing where once there had been only slave labor camps. The Zephyrians could transform their bodies into energy and back again, traveling at the speed of light between their communities. It was beautiful to watch their culture bloom again after decades of oppression. Captain, Lieutenant Amy Carter reported from the station's command center. We are receiving a priority transmission from Earth. Captain Taylor made his way to the communication center, where President Kate Sullivan's image appeared on the main screen. Behind her, he could see the bustling activity of Earth's new Galactic Affairs Department. Captain Taylor, the president began, I have an update on our expansion into the galaxy. We now have embassy stations protecting 47 star systems. The response from liberated worlds has been overwhelmingly positive, but we are also receiving concerning reports from the galactic core. The president's expression grew serious. Our deep space sensors have detected massive fleet movements in the inner systems. It appears that older, more powerful empires are beginning to take notice of our activities. The Dominion was apparently just one of several major powers in this region of space. Captain Taylor nodded. He had expected this development. Humanity's rapid expansion and their unprecedented capabilities would inevitably attract attention from other galactic powers. Some might be friendly, but others would likely see Earth as a threat to their own dominance. "What are our orders, Madam President?" he asked. "Continue protecting the worlds that have requested our aid," President Sullivan replied, "but be prepared for contact with civilizations that may be far older and more advanced than the Dominion. We may have won our first battle, but the war for galactic freedom is just beginning." On Earth itself, the revelation of humanity's hidden capabilities had transformed their society in remarkable ways. Dr. Amanda Foster now served as Director of Architect Technology Integration, overseeing the careful release of advanced technologies to human civilization. Flying cars powered by reality manipulation engines filled the skies above major cities. Medical technology that could restructure matter at the molecular level had eliminated most diseases. Construction projects that would have taken years now completed themselves in days as buildings grew from quantum templates. But perhaps the most significant change was in humanity's understanding of their place in the universe. They were no longer a young species struggling to survive among the stars. They were the inheritors of technology so advanced that it seemed like magic, and with that inheritance came great responsibility. Colonel Ryan Hayes, now promoted to general and placed in charge of Earth's Galactic Defense Initiative, stood in the expanded Facility 7 complex. The underground base had grown into a vast metropolis spanning hundreds of miles beneath the Sahara Desert. "Status report on our fleet expansion," he requested from his aide, Major Lisa Park. "We now have over 200 ships using architect technology," Major Park replied. "Each vessel is unique, shaped by the consciousness of its human crew. More importantly, we have begun training the first generation of human children who will grow up fully integrated with architect systems." This was perhaps humanity's greatest advantage. While other species had to learn to use advanced technology, humans could literally become one with it. Children who grew up with neural interfaces could manipulate matter and energy as naturally as they could walk or speak. In the outer regions of human space, the ESS Defiance patrolled the borders of their growing sphere of influence. Captain Taylor had become something more than human through his integration with architect technology, but he remained committed to the values that had defined his species. "Captain," Dr. Helen Gray announced from the science station, "long-range sensors are detecting an approaching vessel. Configuration unknown, but the energy signature is unlike anything in our databases." On the main screen appeared a ship that defied easy description. It seemed to be constructed from crystallized starlight, and it moved through space without any visible means of propulsion. As they watched, the vessel transmitted a message on all frequencies. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the message began in perfect English, though the voice carried harmonics that suggested it came from a being of vast intelligence. "We are the Eternal Accord, representatives of the first civilizations to achieve galactic awareness. We have watched your recent activities with great interest." Captain Taylor felt the Defiance respond to his thoughts, preparing defensive systems that existed in dimensions the approaching aliens probably could not even perceive. "We mean no harm," the alien voice continued. "We have come to offer you membership in the Galactic Council of Ascended Species. Your mastery of reality manipulation marks you as worthy of joining the oldest and most advanced civilizations in this galaxy." The transmission paused, then continued with what sounded almost like amusement. "We must admit your methods are quite unique. Most species require millions of years to develop such capabilities. You have achieved in decades what others take eons to accomplish." Captain Taylor considered his response carefully. This was first contact with a civilization that claimed to be older and more advanced than anything humanity had yet encountered. How they handled this moment could determine the future of their species and all the worlds they now protected. "This is Captain Ben Taylor of the Earthship Defiance," he replied. We appreciate your interest in our species, but we must know your intentions regarding the worlds we currently protect. Will the Galactic Council respect the freedom of species that have asked for our aid? Freedom, the alien voice replied with what definitely sounded like amusement now, is a concept we have been protecting since before your star was born. We look forward to working with a species that understands its value. As humanity prepared for the next phase of their galactic journey, one thing was clear. They had proven that intelligence, determination, and the courage to defend freedom could overcome any obstacle. The Imperial fleet that had come to destroy a primitive world had instead awakened a species destined to reshape the galaxy itself. The universe would never be the same.